Hi, this is Holly from the Sweet Simple Things, and welcome to my channel where we make healthy and nourishing recipes the whole family will love. Make sure you hit subscribe to see all the latest recipes. Today I'm going to show you how I make my 100% whole wheat cranberry orange sourdough. This is a favorite here. It is slightly sweet, tangy, tart, and delicious. So I'm going to start by hydrating those dried craisins because if you leave them dried without rehydrating them, they will suck moisture out of your bread dough. So I'm pouring warm water over them for about 30 minutes. Then I'm zesting my oranges. I want about a tablespoon of zest or so. Then I'm using freshly milled hard white wheat. You can use bagged hard white wheat too. King Arthur's makes it. You can get it from other brands online. I'm adding a cup of orange juice, about 2/3 cup of water, and then my sourdough starter. I'm going to mix this together until there are no dry bits of flour left. So get it all evenly mixed, all flour wet, and then I'm going to cover it and let it sit for about 30 minutes. This is the autolyze, and this just begins the gluten development process. At this time, I am leaving the salt out because sometimes I've found I can get away with adding salt for the autolyze and it works, but when I add a juice that tends to be acidic, I find it actually backfires. So I'm holding back on the salt, and I'm going to add the salt later, and I'll show you when we do that. So I'm just getting it all mixed together like this, and then I will cover it, let it sit 30 minutes, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so now I'm going to wet my hands so I can make dimples in the dough, and this will just help get the salt and the zest that I'm about to pour on top kind of down further into the dough by doing this. So then I'll sprinkle 12 grams of salt on top and then my orange zest as well. And then I'm just going to lightly hand knead or stretch and fold a bit to get it all incorporated evenly into the dough. At this point, the dough is still a little bit mushy and sticky. So again, using wet hands is really helpful here. And I'm just grabbing a little bit. It's gonna rip if you pull too much, so you don't need to go crazy, but just kind of fold it over, start working it in, and trying to evenly mix it. This is only the first of many steps of stretching and folding, so if you're worried that it's not perfectly mixed yet, we are gonna be doing this a few more times, so there will be more opportunity to get your salt and zest mixed throughout the dough. Next, I'm going to drain the cranberries. Make sure you drain them. Do not put the water that the cranberries were soaking in with your dough. Drain them, pour them on top, and then start kind of working them in the same way you did before with the zest and the salt. We're just doing some light stretches and folds. Now, as you can see, my dough is a little stiff. It's not pulling super far up. That's okay. You just work it with your hands, doing a little bit of hand kneading. I did my cranberries in 2 batches, as you see there. It's up to you what you want to do. But I'm just going to kind of gently fold it up, kind of punch it down a little bit, try to work these cranberries evenly through the dough. And like I said on the prior stretches and folds, we're going to do this a few more times. So if things seem like they're really clustered or they're not evenly worked through the dough, you're going to have more opportunities to work on that. I'm showing you each set of stretches and folds I did here because I want you to be able to see how the dough changed and developed over the course of all the stretches and folds I did. If we count when we added the salt and the zest as our first stretch and fold, I do like 4 or 5 total. I can't totally remember, but eventually you're gonna see, like when you go to do your stretch and fold, that the dough is still really nice and you're not really achieving a whole lot by continuing to do them. And that's how you know that you're done. That the dough just looks good, your inclusions are evenly dispersed, you've got, it's not like ripping as much anymore, and you've got really good gluten development. So you can kind of see how I'm just letting it fall a little bit. I'm pulling it up and letting it fall. You can see a little bit of ripping. That's because of the cranberries in there. The dough is really starting to get in pretty good shape. So don't overthink the ripping, especially when you have inclusions, because sometimes that just happens. But you are just going to want to make sure that you're gentle with the dough and not being too rough, because then you're defeating the purpose of what you're trying to accomplish. So here you can see I'm pulling up really only like an inch or two. I'm not coming up very high when I'm doing this, working my way around the bowl, doing this until the dough is just too tight. You'll see that it's too tight and I'm not really able to pull it all that much anymore. It's stuck in that tight little ball I made, and so I know that round of stretching and folding is done. So just to recap, I do that round of stretch and folds. I let it sit 20 minutes or so in between each one, and we do about 4 or 5 total, just depending on whatever your dough needs that day to really come together and be healthy. I am going to do my bulk fermentation in the oven with the light on. I don't necessarily always recommend that, but my house is only 60 degrees right now. This dough, actually, I ended up going to bed. I could not get it to finish fast enough, so I had to put it in the fridge overnight, and then I finished the bulk fermentation the next day until we got about a 50% rise, and that's where I'm at right now. Now I'm pouring it out and pre-shaping, and my dough looks really stiff because it's still pretty cold from being in the fridge overnight. So sometimes you got to make sourdough work with your life and not bend your whole life around your sourdough, right? I'm not going to stay up extra late for bread. I'm just not that kind of person. So in the fridge it went. Anyway, after my pre-shape, I let it rest about 20 minutes, and now I'm kind of gently pulling it flat here because I'm getting ready to shape it. You want to be careful because you don't want to deflate it. I'm also working with a colder dough, so it's a little stiffer. Now I'm tri-folding it just like I was going to fold a letter or something. So I do one side, then I'm going to flip the other side over that, and kind of pinch the edges a bit, and then I like to kind of roll it up like a burrito from there. Once you get to the end, you can I like to pinch the ends because as you can see, they're not very even on the end. So I just kind of give it a little bit of a pinch just to round it out. Then I'm going to put it in my proofing basket there that I have lined with a tea towel. I'm putting the smooth top side down in the basket. You want that top side down in the basket because that's the side that's going to eventually be right side up when you bake it. So I'm kind of pinching together my seams, and then I'm going to take the edges of this tea towel, fold it up over my dough to keep it covered, and now I'm going to let it proof. I'm letting it proof until it's puffy, and when I do a little poke test or put my finger in, it comes back out most of the way. It retracts again. So I'll kind of show you what that looks like here. I don't always do the poke test, but when I'm working with a cold dough like this, I found that it was very helpful. So here is my proof dough. It's it comes up, it looks like in the video that maybe it's not, but I promise in real life it was coming back pretty good. Though I do think I probably, once I was all done baking it, I probably could have let it proof even a little longer, but sometimes you just got to get your bread baked. So I'm putting it out on my parchment paper. If you use crinkled parchment like I did there, it fits into your baking vessel without folding onto your dough quite as much. So it's just a little bit easier to maneuver and manipulate. So that's why I crinkled it all up. I'm living in this old farmhouse right now, and all of my stuff is in storage while we build our house. I don't know where my sourdough bread lame is, so I'm using a knife. Thankfully, I still know where my sourdough sprayer is because I like to spray the top of my loaves. This helps you get a better oven rise, and then also can help with some blisters and stuff. So I'm going to put this in my preheated baker. It's been in my oven at 450 for about an hour. My oven is a little bit weak, so I preheat my baker for a full hour before we go. Get it covered, and then we're going to bake it at 450 for 30 minutes. Then we will uncover it, lower the temp down to 425, put it back in, and do another 15 minutes or so until the top is nicely browned. And when you test the internal temperature for sourdough, you want at least 205 degrees Fahrenheit. So I use my meat thermometer here. I always test my internal loaves, especially now that I'm working with a new oven and still kind of learning the kinks of it. It's not quite as good as my old oven. I actually had to put this back in for another 5-7 minutes or so. So internal temp of 205 at least. Don't worry about over baking it. Just watch how brown it's getting on top. It's very hard to over bake a sourdough as long as it isn't burnt. But I hope you guys like this recipe. Let me know what other sorts of sourdough ideas you want to see for fresh milled flour.